Previously on our story, Akelo was rejected by the villagers because of her skin color, because the villagers thought she was a curse. So everybody didn't like her. They rejected her, they booed her, they mocked her. But little did they know someone was coming into the village to change Akelo's life. His name was Laban. He came into the village and fall for Akelo, which surprised most of the villagers, and they didn't like it, like Mariam. So as we're diving into this video, kindly subscribe, share, leave something in the comment section. Let's dive into this amazing story. The village seemed to be buzzing with even more gossip after Mariam's harsh words. Akelo could feel the stares, the whispers behind her back, and the mocking smells wherever she walked through the village. It hurt, but she tried to ignore it. Her heart still held onto the small moments she shared with Laban, his warm smell, the way he listened to her with such kindness, and how he made her feel like she wasn't invisible. But the villagers' judgment made her wonder if she could truly find happiness. One evening, as Akelo walked to the river to meet Laban, she noticed that something felt different. She could hear laughter in the distance, but it wasn't laughter of children playing. It was the sound of village men gathered around the marketplace. Curious and nervous, Akelo crept closer, hoping to hear what was going on. As she peeped around the tree, she saw a group of men, including the village chief, laughing and talking in low voices. "Did you hear?" one of them said. "Laban has been spending all his time with Akelo. What does he see in that albino girl? She's cursed, you know." Akelo felt her heart drop. She wanted to run to escape the cruel words, but she stood frozen, unable to move. The laughter continued. "She's a curse to the village. If he marries her, there is no telling what will happen," another man said. Akelo's hands shook and her breath became shallow. She felt as if her world was crashing down. They were all saying the same thing. She was a curse, a mistake. But as she stood there, listening to the hurtful words, something inside her began to change. "I don't have to listen to them," she thought. "I know who I am. I'm not a curse." She turned and walked away quickly, wiping away the tears that threatened to fall. She wasn't going to let their words define her. She had come too far to let this break her. When she reached the river, she found Laban sitting on a large rock, looking out over the water. The moment he saw her, his face lit up. "Akelo, I'm so glad you're here," he said, standing up and walking towards her. Akelo smiled faintly, but her heart was heavy with the pain of the villagers. "Laban, they are talking about me. They say I'm a curse, that if you're with me, something bad will happen." Laban's face grew serious as he stepped closer to her. "Akelo, do you believe in that?" Akelo bit her lip, feeling the tears building up. It's hard not to. The whole village thinks it's true. Laban gently lifted her chin, forcing her to look at him in the eyes. "Listen to me, Akelo. You are not a curse. The people who say that are afraid of what they don't understand. But I know you, and I know you are kind and strong. Your skin doesn't change who you are." Akelo felt a wave of emotion rise in her chest. No one had ever said such kind words to her. She wanted to believe him so badly. "Thank you, Laban," she whispered, her voice trembling. He smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I want you to know that I don't care about what they say. I care about you." Akelo felt a warmth in her chest. and for the first time in a long time, she felt something deeper inside her. A hope that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. But as they sat by the river, sharing stories and laughter, Akello couldn't help but wonder, could she really change the village's opinion? The battle ahead wasn't just with the villagers, it was with her herself. She had to believe in her worth even when no one else did. As the days passed, Laban's presence in her life became more important than ever. He continued to visit her by the river, showing her that there was still kindness in the world, even if the villagers couldn't say it. But Akello knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges. She wasn't just fighting for love, she was fighting to prove to herself that she was worthy of it. And little did she know, the greatest test was yet to come. The days grew warmer, and Akello's heart began to feel lighter with each passing moment she spent with Laban. But as the days turned into weeks, the villagers' judgment only seemed to grow stronger. They watched her closely, whispering in corners and making cruel remarks whenever she passed by. Akello had grown used to whispers, but she couldn't ignore them any longer. The tension in the village was growing, and it felt as if everyone was watching her, waiting for her to make a mistake. One afternoon, as Akello was walking through the village market, she overheard a conversation that made her stop in her tracks. "Did you hear?" one woman said, her voice just loud enough for Akello to hear. "Laban has been seen with Akello again. What is he thinking? He should be with someone like Mariam, not that cursed girl." Akello's heart dropped, but she tried to keep walking. She didn't want to hear anymore, but another voice interrupted her. "Maybe he's just desperate. What other woman would want him after he's been seen with her?" The man sneered. Akello's face burned with humiliation. She felt the stench of their words deep inside her. But she kept walking, ignoring the mocking laughter that followed her. Later that evening, Akello walked to the river to meet Laban. She felt the weight of the villagers' rejection. Every step she took felt heavier than the last. She tried to push the thoughts from her mind, but they wouldn't leave. When she arrived at the river, she found Laban sitting on the rock, looking out over the water. His face lit up when he saw her, but Akello couldn't bring herself to smile. "Akello, what's wrong?" Laban asked, noticing her sober expression. Akello sat down next to him, her eyes cast down. "I overheard them today," she said softly. "The villagers. They think you are making a mistake being with me. They think I'm cursed." Laban's expression grew serious. He reached out and took her hand tight gently. "I don't care what they say, Akello. I care about you. I see the person you are, not the rumors they spread." Akello shook her head. "But it's not just them. It's me too. I don't know if I can keep going like this. The villagers are rejecting me. They laugh at me. I feel like I'm fighting a battle I can never win." Laban held her hand tightly. "You don't have to fight alone, Akello. I'm here with you. We don't need the approval of people who don't understand. What matters is what is in our hearts." Tears welled up in Akello's eyes as she looked at him. "But what if they are right? What if I'm really a curse?" Laban gently cupped her face with her hands, forcing her to look at him. "You are not a curse, Akello. You are beautiful inside and out. Don't let anyone make you believe otherwise. We will face this together." For a moment, Akelo could only stare at him, her heart swelling with emotions. She wanted to believe him, but the weight of the villagers' rejection felt suffocating. Could she really find happiness when the entire village turned their backs on her? But as she looked into Laban's eyes, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could overcome this together. As the days passed, the villagers' hostility only grew. One day, the village chief himself approached Akelo while he was walking to the river. His face was thin and his words were cold. "Akelo," he said, "I've spoken with the elders. We cannot allow this nonsense to continue. Laban is a stranger here. He cannot be allowed to bring shame upon the village by being with someone like you." Akelo felt on her knees weakened and her heart pounded in her chest. But I've done nothing wrong. I haven't hurt anyone." The chief's gaze hardened. "It doesn't matter. This village has its ways and you don't fit in. If you continue to see Laban, you will be cast out. You will no longer be welcome here." Akelo's world seemed to shatter in that moment. She had spent her whole life trying to fit in, trying to be accepted, but now it seemed like even the chief was turning against her. She wanted to scream, to tell him that she wasn't a curse, that she deserved love and respect, just like anyone else, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she walked away, feeling a deep emptiness in her heart. She was being forced to choose between the love she had found with Laban and the village she had always called home. As the sun began to set, Akelo sat on the banks of the river, feeling lost and alone. What should I do? She wondered. Should I stay in the village and suffer, or should I leave and be with Laban? Little did she know the decision she was about to make would change everything. Akelo sat by the river, her mind racing with thoughts and emotions. The words of the village chief echoed in her ears. If you continue to see Laban, you will be cast out. Her heart was torn in two. On one hand, she had found someone who cared for her, someone who saw past her skin and loved her for who she was. And on the other hand, the village she had called home her entire life was turning its back on her. She felt like an outsider in a place she had grown up, a place that was supposed to feel safe. As she sat by the river, lost in thought, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Akelo, I knew I would find you here. It was Laban. His voice was gentle, but she could hear the concern in it. He had come to check on her, just like he always did. Akelo turned to face him, her eyes red from crying. Laban, she whispered, her voice shaky. The village has made it clear. If we keep seeing each other, I'll be forced to leave. They want me to choose between you and the village. And if I stay here, they'll hate me forever. Laban knelt down beside her, his face serious but full of love. If you don't have to choose, Akelo, we can leave the village together. Go somewhere far from where no one will judge you. I'll take care of you. You don't have to stay in a place where I won't see your worth. Akelo's heart inched at his words. She wanted to believe him, to take his hand and run away with him. But there was one thing that held her back. But what about the village, Laban? What about everything I've known? It's not just the people here, it's my home. It's where my family is. Laban reached out and gently held her hand. Akelo, the village doesn't see you for who you are. They only see your skin color. But I see you. I know you. You are strong, kind, and full of love. You deserve to be with someone who values you for the things. Akelo felt a warm tear slip down her cheek. She wanted so badly to believe him, to leave the pain of the village behind and build a new life with Laban. But deep down, she still feared that no matter where she went, she would never be enough. I don't want to leave, Akelo whispered, her voice trembling. But I can't keep living like this. I'm so tired of being rejected. I just want to feel like I belong somewhere. Laban squeezed her hand tightly, his voice filled with determination. You belong with me, Akelo. You belong in a place where you are loved and accepted for who you truly are. Don't let fear control your heart. Together we can start over. I'll be by your side always. Akelo looked into his eyes, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of peace. She didn't need the village's approval. She didn't need to fit into a mold they had made for her. What she needed was to be true to herself and to follow her heart. With a deep breath, Akelo made her decision. She stood up, her hand still holding Laban's. I'll leave the village, she said, her voice filled with quiet resolve. I'll go with you, Laban. Together we'll find a place where I can be free from their judgment. Laban smiled, his face lighting up with joy. You won't regret this, Akelo. I promise you. We'll find happiness together. As they walked away from the river, Akelo couldn't shake the feeling that leaving the village wouldn't be as simple as they hoped. The villagers' rejection would still follow her, no matter where she went. Would they truly be able to escape the weight of the past and find peace? We don't know that. Kindly subscribe to this channel. Leave something in the comment section. Just let me know what you think of this video. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. As they left the familiar path that led to the village, Akelo glanced one last time. She was saying goodbye to a life filled with pain and rejection, but also to the only home she had ever known. It was the beginning of a new chapter, but she wasn't sure what would come next. The road ahead was uncertain, and the challenges they would face together would not be easy. But Akelo knew one thing for a certain. She had made the right choice. With Laban by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. As Akelo and Laban walked away from the village, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a long shadows over the path ahead. Akelo's heart beat faster with every step, but it wasn't from fear, it was from a sense of freedom, a feeling she hadn't known in years. For the first time, she felt like she was truly in control of her own life. The village, with all its judgment and whispers, was behind her now. She knew it would not be easy to leave everything she had known, but it was no longer afraid. Laban was with her, and together they could build something new. They walked for hours, not speaking much, but the silence between them was comforting. The world seemed to open up in front of them, vast and full of possibilities. As they reached a small town, Akelo couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. It was different from her village. There was no harsh stares, no whispers behind her back. The people here didn't care about her skin color. They only saw her as she was, a kind and brave woman who had walked away from a place that didn't accept her. Laban found them a small house at the edge of the town, a cozy cottage with a view of green hills. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. For the first time in her life, Akelo felt like she belonged somewhere. As they settled in their new home, Akelo began to feel the weight of the past lifting from her shoulders. The house was small, but it was filled with warmth. They grew their own food in a small garden, and Laban worked as a carpenter in the town, making enough money to support them both. days turned into weeks, and Akelo began to see a side of herself that she had never known that existed. She was no longer defined by the rejection of others. She was not the cast girl from the village. She was Akelo, a woman with a kind heart full of dreams and hopes. One day, as she was walking through the town, a woman smiled at her. It was a simple, friendly smile, but it meant wow to Akelo. She had never felt like a stranger here. She was just another person in town, someone who mattered. It was then that she realized how much she had changed. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't afraid of the villagers' rejection. She wasn't afraid of the future. She had Laban by her side, and together they had made a new life. But even though Akelo had found peace in her new life, there were still moments when the memories of the village haunted her. Sometimes at night, when she laid in bed, she would think about the people who had laughed at her, who had called her cursed. The pain of those memories would wash over her, and for a brief moment, she would wonder if they had been right. But then she would hear Laban's voice, calm and steady, reminding her that she was not defined by others. She was Akelo, strong and full of love. One afternoon, while Akelo was sitting on their porch, she saw a young girl walking by with her mother. The girl had pale skin, as much like Akelo's, and she was staring at her with wide, curious eyes. Akelo's heart softened, and she waved at the little girl. And the little girl waved back. The mother smiled at Akelo, and in that moment, Akelo realized that she had a power to change the way people saw her, to help others understand that skin color didn't define a person's worth. It was in that moment that Akelo made a silent vow to herself. She would never let anyone else feel the way she had felt, rejected, lonely, and unloved, just because of the way she looked. She would be a voice for those who were judged by their appearance, a voice for those who felt like they didn't belong. And with that promise in her heart, Akelo smiled, and she found her place in the world. She would make sure that no one else had to feel the way she felt like an outsider before. As the days went on, Akelo and Laban continued to build their life together, stronger than ever. They worked side by side, supporting each other and facing every challenge with love and determination. And even though their journey had begun in rejection, it had led them to a life filled with hope, acceptance, and deep love that no one could ever take away. This is the end of our part 2, guys. Leave something in the comment section. Part 2 is coming soon. Part 3 is coming soon, not part 3, sorry. See you in my next video. I love you all. Bye-bye.